All right, well, I'll tell you what we're going to do. Hopefully some people will come in and join us, but I think we should just go ahead and get going. It's 11:20 already. And again, part of the objective is to let people see that there's more than just Blaze behind this. So again, what I'll do is I'll start off by doing a quick introduction and then introduce Blaze, and then after Blaze, if Kevin, you could go, and then Keith, you could go with just some brief introductions about yourselves. And then Blaze, maybe what we should do is just kind of touch on some of the key issues that people have been raising in Telegram, and just kind of address how they do things, and some of the concerns that they've been raising, address those, and then I guess that'll be it, unless somebody joins us with a question. Let's give an introduction, because I think it's important, again, for people to understand that this is more than just Blaze that's involved with this. And so, for people listening to this, to give you a little bit of background, I've known Blaze now for almost a year, and I got introduced with Blaze through another development that he was the principal of, which was an application called Flexi, which is an incredible page builder. So Blaze is a very gifted and very talented computer scientist. He came up with this idea. I mean, it was his idea to develop an e-commerce system that is simple to use, that doesn't require a great deal of configuration, doesn't require an individual to know how to program, doesn't surprise an individual like with Shopify like account, where you end up discovering you either have to continue upgrading your account to get the shipping methods that you need, or that you've got to add all these apps in to add basic, what should be some pretty basic functionality already in the system. And then on top of that, the idea of building all this on top of blockchain. One of the things that that I've been thinking about for some time is the fact that advertising as an industry right now is fundamentally broken. I mean, it's all about data collection and mass data collection, and any way they can do it. And they don't, most don't care what they have to do to collect that data. So whether they end up using nefarious means to get at your system, to get information that they want, whatever they got to do, they're going to collect the data. And also, as an industry, it has built up massive, powerful, middlemen, players like PayPal, that don't really need to exist. And blockchain fixes all that. And then blockchain also brings about possibilities that otherwise would not exist in the current system. And we'll talk about that a little bit further in. So anyway, it was his idea to put all this together. And then Blaze came to me and asked me if I would be interested in being CTO. I jumped on the opportunity. And I think he did the same thing with Kevin, because as you'll find out, Kevin is an e-commerce expert. And he went to Kevin and asked Kevin if he would come on board. And then I went out and I invited a couple of other people that were experts. Bruce Levine, who's an attorney. He's also a CPA. He's also an international tax expert. And from a standpoint of business systems and understanding the intricacies of doing business across multiple countries worldwide, he's our guy. And then, of course, Keith Offlet. And Keith is a former. If you're as old as we are, he goes back to the days of Lotus Notes. He's a former IBMer. He's an expert in terms of data centers and data management and data mining and so on. I mean, he'll tell you about his background. So there's the beginning of a really solid core team that's very serious about delivering a high quality e-commerce solution on blockchain, and that's what this is about. With that, Blaze, why don't you give everybody just a little bit touch about your background? I mean, I touched on it a little bit. Why don't you tell them a little bit more, and then if Kevin could do the same, and then followed with Keith. That way everybody will know who we are, what we're doing, and that this is a serious venture trying to develop a serious solution that the market is desperate for.
All right. Okay, so I'm pretty much into computer science and programming. So the idea behind Bezop, my thought behind Bezop was to create some sort of blockchain with an immutable record, right? However, the purpose of the blockchain would not be to validate block consensus, just like Bitcoin, right? However, it would just be to validate orders, a proof of order. That was like my idea initially. But then as time went on, we thought of, hey, let's add in some more things like proof of transaction and proof of tax, and then as well a way to manage disputes, right? So that's when we had to think about Ethereum, the Ethereum blockchain, right? So with ERC20 tokens, we basically can execute smart contracts, and you can have, the beauty of this is you can have a smart contract in the middle, and you have the smart contract autonomously check if a user has delivered. You understand? It's called proof of delivery. So we have all these things in place. We have all these things all planned out, and basically that's it. That's it.
Awesome. Thanks, Blaze. And Kevin, how about you?
Very good. Hi, guys. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you great.
Very good. The reception here is a little bit dodgy, so hopefully this will come true. But anyway, I'm Kevin from Ireland. I've completed a degree in business marketing, and after that I went on to complete a 2-year master's degree in e-commerce, specializing in systems architecture and all that. So right after the master's, I went on to develop what was a revolutionary payment system online. Went off to get it patented, and that's when the patent officer went off and actually stole the idea from me, set it up, and appeared in the top rich list. So yeah, but anyway, I've been involved in setting up many companies, many ideas over the past 10 years. It's been my passion for a long time. I've been in e-commerce, I suppose, for the last 10 years, as I was saying there, developing software, simplifying processes. Basically, if anyone's trying to set up websites or whatever, it's very time-consuming task, and you have to do no programming and all that. But I try and automate many of the manual processes, which obviously speed things up, and that's what I've been focusing on. So I then bumped into Blaze, who's a fantastic guy. I've known Blaze for about 2 years now, and introduced me to Bezop, and of course I jumped on it because of what it has to offer. So I'm now here today speaking to all you guys, and delighted to see what this brings.
Well, Kevin, we're thrilled to have you on the team. I don't think we'd succeed without your skill and knowledge as part of the team. Keith, how about you?
I'm a little bit older than everyone else here probably, but started out my kind of career. I'm more of an IT operations research guy. That's where Deryck inferred the data kind of background. Started my life off at Owens Corning Fiberglass, working for Alan Greenspan, who tortured me for several years. And was lucky enough to move on to Lotus Development, was one of their first 200 employees there, grew with them through the IBM acquisition, did a lot of M&A work there, operations startup around the world. I've been to Ireland probably 40 times. Started up their operations in Ireland, and had a B&B in Clare. So moving on, I went on and I was going to actually move out of IBM and do something different. I was the president of an e-commerce company called alcohol.com for a while, moved on to a CIO position at Gilbane Building, who was one of the largest, if not the largest, builder in the country, world now, actually privately owned. Then I started the whole entrepreneurial thing. Started up a company called Virtual Building Logistics. It does 3D, 4D, 5D modeling, complex modeling around the world. We did, like, for example, the Sail Building in Dubai. So things like that. So I spent about 15, 20 years traveling the world and starting up new companies. So last several companies I've worked on is water generating system as the CEO, COO, and then Ignition, which is a big data company that we're working with right now. I'm the CEO and chairman, or COO and chairman right now of that company. So not to go on too much, had a lovely chance to work with Bill Gates directly and Stephen Jobs. So Bill, I built all of Microsoft's data repositories for all their builds and their build management systems and all that stuff. So I've had a little bit of a fun ride here. So,
which, Keith, is the reason why we wanted to get you on board as an advisor with us.
Right. So,
exactly.
And I actually have had the pleasure of working with Deryck in the past, and he still actually wants to work with me, which is pretty amazing.
So anyway, guys, I hope what this communicates to you is that this is a serious enterprise, and it's got really serious people that are involved with it, that are engaged and are ready to build the next generation e-commerce system on blockchain. So we need your support. This is a community effort. We need your support to be able to build this the way we know it needs to be built. And so that we can bring on the additional talent we know we need to bring on. We're not naive. We've done this a few times. I've been an entrepreneur now for, almost 20 years. I started my first company back in my early 20s when I got out of the Marines. I was a disabled U.S. Marine veteran. Started my first company, was a millionaire by the time I was 27. Learned a very difficult lesson about partnerships, and that company ended up folding, and I ended up going into the corporate world. And I spent 15, almost 20 years in the corporate world, working ultimately was with one company, but that company went through a number of mergers and acquisitions and changes. So it started off as Spectra Physics, which is a well-known company. It turned into Spectra Precision. It was owned by an MIT spin-out called Thermal Electron, which is a $3.1 billion company. And in relatively short order, I joined as the director of engineering and marketing for their software division back when they had a manufacturing plant, and also ended up as the vice president of research and development for all of it, based in Atlanta. And so I stayed there up until about 2000, and then I got an offer to join a British PR firm, one of the biggest in the world, to solve a major problem, which was dealing with knowledge management. So I traveled around the world 4 times. I visited 55 roughly countries. Won an award as one of the top 100 CIOs in North America back in 2002. You can look all this up. It's all legit, and it's online. And then I became right after 9/11. I became a entrepreneur again. I built 6 companies. 2 of them break even. 1 of them was a failure. I built 2 companies to 7 figures and 1 to 8. The last company I had was On Demand Communications Group, the one that I favored most. And I went through something tragic because basically I got involved with somebody that was trying to do a huge deal, and the end result was we got scammed, and I ended up losing over $1 million personally, and the company folding. And the reason that I'm with Blaze, and the reason I believe in Blaze, is because when I got into this business, it took me a while to kind of figure things out, like with most people. And Blaze was one of the few guys that I learned very quickly that not only could I trust, but Blaze actually put a hand out. And it was deeply appreciated, and it will always be appreciated, and that's why I'm here. So with that, looks like we've got Diego. Diego, welcome. Glad you could join us. Unfortunately, you missed a lot of the intro where we went through and basically introduced all of ourselves and who we all are. Don't know if he's still with us or not, but he can catch the playback to find out all about that. So with that, Blaze, you want to touch on maybe some of the other issues that people have been having, or questions that they've been raising about what they need to do and how they need to do it and so on?
Okay, that's great. Thank you, Deryck.
Okay.
So Yeah, well, the thing is, we've been trying to maybe make this very smooth for everyone, right? Like recently, we found out that some accounts have been registering now multiple. Some users have been setting up multiple accounts just to get free tokens. So somehow to circumvent that, we had to kind of like set a timeline. So let's say for 5 days, if a user is not active, like in any way, because they got free tokens, they're not active, you just clear the account, right? But it's a pretty good approach. So I think if a user is coming on board to participate, somehow they should be active in some on-time registration and then okay. So one more issue is that I think some people, I guess there are a couple of issues, right? But then it takes a little while to get all these things straightened out and all perfect and all working. And that's the thing with softwares, right? Because in softwares, sometimes everything cannot just be perfect 100%, but you get it so close to that. Like with one of the systems I produced that I'm managing right now, Flexi, it's an AI program. So over time, we keep optimizing that system to become better day by day. So I think all the issues they are facing are just going to be over very soon, like in no time. So it should be over.
Okay. Now, in terms of the process, they come to Bezop.io, they register for, well, one thing we wanted to do, right, was we want as many people to come over to Telegram as we possibly get and sign up on Telegram and join our thread there, because that's where we'll be answering a lot of questions and supporting those that are trying to support us, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. And then once, Diego, welcome back. Can you hear us? Diego, can you hear us?
Yep.
Excellent. Welcome. We're glad you could join us. Unfortunately, Diego, you missed all of the intros and discussions about who we are and what we are. There's one guy that's not on the screen. Keith, can you say hello so he knows you're there? Keith, you still with us?
I see old guys.
Okay. Well, there he is.
My apologies, Deryck.
No
Hi, Diego. How are you, sir?
So basically, Diego, you've got the stage. You got a golden opportunity here to ask any question you want. The backdrop is that we've got 5 of the team members, or 4 of the team members here. One of the guys actually has just gotten on a plane, so he couldn't stay with us, or he couldn't join us. I mean, but we got 4 of us here, and most of us are the critical decision makers. So, you got any questions for us?
Okay, therefore you were waiting. No, to be honest, I actually wasn't prepared to be the one that is asking questions. I just was want to introduce myself a little bit. I don't know, you don't know me. Yes, Diego from Switzerland, pretty new to the whole ICO thing. I invested pretty early just in other cryptocurrencies, but yeah, since I'm a law student, I'm still a student, so not very. My finances aren't that big.
No problem.
So yeah, so much about me. Yeah, actually, to be honest with you guys, that was pretty much the first ICO that I really I'm participating in.
Okay.
So I have actually no idea. I'm just learning now about all those bounty stuff and how this stuff works.
Okay. Well, we really appreciate, first off, we appreciate that if this is the first ICO that you're participating in, we really appreciate that you picked our ICO to participate in. We're glad you're here. We're thrilled that you took the time to join us. Since we'll kind of go back around just very quickly, just so you'll hear this when you hear the replay of this. This was the brainchild of Blaze, Blaze is a computer scientist. He developed a system called Flexi, which is a brilliant page builder. You can go online and find it. I own a copy of it. It's fantastic. In fact, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to get involved in this. There's one of several, because I saw what he did with Flexi, so I knew that when it came to building this was a guy that could do the job. And so that's why I got involved. So, so you know who Blaze is. Kevin is a e-commerce expert. He's got his degrees in e-commerce. He's built incredible systems in e-commerce. He knows how to simplify e-commerce. He's heavily involved. And the guy you don't see on the screen, he's one of our advisors. This is Keith Authlett. Keith is a guy that literally has, back in the day, worked with Bill Gates and Steve Jobs. He's was one of the original employees at Lotus Notes. He went over to IBM, headed up a major group in IBM, and he's led companies all over the world. So he's here to help advise us and guide us. So you can see you've got a very serious guy. The guy that you don't see is Bruce Levine, who's and he's in your area, because Bruce is an attorney. He's a CPA. He's an international tax expert, and he advises us obviously on that realm. Unfortunately, he's on a plane, so you don't get to question him. I know that would be a guy you'd love to talk to. But that's the group, and now you can see Keith. He's joined us. So you can see we got a serious group, and we're looking to do some pretty wonderful things with our application. And since I'm doing all the talking here, guys, anybody else want to jump in here and say anything?
All right, I think we should talk more about the product.
Let's do it. So why don't we talk, Blaze, why don't we talk through the 5 key components or elements of Bezop?
All right, okay, so basically you have, when you're trying to build an e-commerce system, personally, I've had an e-commerce store before, right? And it was super difficult for me to set it up. I had it on Shopify, and the name was Luxury Vegas. And my hopes were like, I was trying to sell luxury products, right? And basically, I wanted to sync a kind of system where I drop ship from AliExpress, all this. I don't know if you know that, right? Drop shipping.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Yeah, a very similar system. So it was so difficult for me to set that up, and processing payments was just like a big problem for me, because even if you ask Kevin here, Kevin would tell you that PayPal is just a big problem. PayPal is a big problem. So the idea of Bezop is to mark out these 5 major issues with e-commerce. Now, when you talk about e-commerce, you talk about proof of tax, proof of transaction, all those small components, proof of order, right? All those small components make up, and proof of correctness, of course, make up an e-commerce solution. Now, let me get into details about how this works. Now, let's say a user, a buyer comes into your store, right? And all your products are registered on the blockchain as well. So when a buyer comes into your store, they can pay. They can purchase a product, right? Now, the concept of Bezop is to be able to create a record, not just for the product, but for the purchase. And that record for the purchase would be immutable. So it stays like that. So it means whenever like someone sent, you can't have you can't have a merchant sell a product and tomorrow they delete that product off and claim they never sold that product. You understand? Once it goes on the ledger, it never goes off. You understand? It totally mitigates fraud. It's almost impossible to defraud someone, because there is always a record that you sold this product to them and you never delivered. You understand? So that's basically the principles that Bezop work on, and it's all controlled by smart contracts.
Yeah, I mean it's brilliant, Blaze. I mean, if you think about, we just talked about fundamental accounting systems. I mean, one of the major issues when you're dealing with transactions is let's back up and let me talk about when I had one of my first companies, and I started learning about maintaining the books for that company. I had my checking account. Okay. What tells a person, if I write a check, let's say that check number is 1001, okay? And somebody comes in and takes out 1002. All right, so the next check number I write is 1003. Now I see that 1002 is missing, but I don't know anything about it because nothing's been written in the ledger. So one of the major problems when you're dealing with data is to ensure the integrity of that data, and particularly in business systems. You don't want to be able to have somebody take out check number 1002 and never have a record of it or never have knowledge of what happened with it. Was it involved in a transaction? Did somebody write themselves, a nice little payday for, a couple grand and not know about it? What? So the brilliance about this kind of system is that when a transaction occurs, it's forever. It's immutable, as Blaze puts it. It's written to the record.
About it. Okay, so the first part of the system, you call it the decentralized order management, and this is really the part where the merchants can interact. Okay, so it's more like the Shopify part, the one you see on Shopify. So it's more like just think of it as an easier way to install Shopify, to deploy Shopify to your own web server or wherever you want, right? But however, the critical reasoning behind this is that all the products, all the items on this decentralized order management portal are going to be pulled from the blockchain. So the way it is you have a product A, product B, product C, product D, it doesn't matter how many, right? So whenever you want to register a product, you go into Bezop and you basically register the product on the blockchain. You basically put maybe, what is it called? You basically add the product name, add the product ID, automatically gives you the product SN code, right? And all those other stuff. But then it's registered, it sets it up as a product on the blockchain. So you can delete the product. However, on your front end, that's the DOM, you can remove the product. However, the details of the transaction are still on the network, right? So the second part is the Bezop network. So the Bezop network at this moment is basically, right now, what we're trying to do is to start off with Ethereum, which is already a very mature blockchain. So we can work with that. But over time, we hope to build our own network, something like Bitcoin or something like that, right? Or something like Litecoin, okay? But the concept is to have an EVM and a virtual machine that can process smart contracts as well. So we also have this stuff called the proof of order, and in the proof of order you have proof of tax, proof of transaction. Now proof of tax is okay, like you have a merchant. Now when we talk about merchants, we try to understand what a merchant is in this case. A merchant is basically not an individual. We have a very fundamental issue that most large companies, most medium-sized companies, if you notice, they don't really own e-commerce stores. But quite like you see that there are a lot of e-commerce stores out there online, right? But it's just a fraction of them. The majority, the very large size population of e-commerce, they don't really come and set up e-commerce stores. Most stores are run by individuals. Now, if you have a company like that, they would need a way to manage their tax. They will need a way to collect VAT and manage their tax. Now, if you go through the yellow paper, you see that the Bezop automatically does that for you. So once you set a VAT for a particular product, whenever someone comes in and tries to pay, automatically they have to attach that VAT. And what Bezop does, it sends it as one payment to the merchant, right? But then the VAT percentage is marked out. So once everything is processed, it will take out the VAT to a different account and take out your revenue to a different account. So finally, we also have the proof of transaction, and the proof of transaction is basically, it's more like a receipt, proves that a transaction happened on the blockchain. So whenever someone can easily come back tomorrow and say, my product is not delivered, or basically say that something like, or basically say it was delivered but it was damaged, so I need to return it, I need to file a dispute, I need to get my money back. And then the process is automated because we have something called decentralized dispute agents. Now, normally how PayPal works is you have these centralized people trying to dispute a transaction. You don't know if they're fair or not, right? But once you pay, and you may have not received the product. But if the seller is able to convince the PayPal agent that they sent the product and is in good shape, then definitely you are not going to be favored because you will end up with a very crappy product and you will never get your money back. I don't know if you get me, right?
I do, but I see it from a legal point. So I might going to ask you some questions later, but go on.
Okay, perfect. So definitely what you need to do is to have a system where that is decentralized, where anyone can come and basically anyone in the world can come and become a dispute agent, right? Any miner for a particular fee. So I can choose to jump on, and I don't know who the seller is, I don't know who the buyer is, so I'm never biased. I don't know if the seller has received $1 million and I want to favor them because they receive so much payments on my system. So I'm just a regular guy, a dispute agent, and I see a case. All I do is I take the details I have and I analyze the case. Then I decide if this is going to be filed for a claim or if I'm going to be able to resolve the issue in favor of the buyer. So that's it. So that's basically what Bezop is all about.
So Diego, you said you had some questions from a legal perspective.
Yeah, yeah, just you said you had your lawyer on your team.
Yes, we do have a lawyer on our team.
But he was actually only doing the legal stuff for your company itself, for Bezop itself, or did he also had some insight on the process itself? I mean,
he's
just explained to us.
Yeah, he's been Bruce has been around for a very long time, and he's not just a lawyer for Bezop. He's actually an advisor for Bezop, and as if Bezop develops the way we hope that it does, then we will probably do everything we can to convince him to come on board as our CFO and handle our legal issues. His area of expertise is international tax, and it's an area that everybody tends to get in trouble with. And so having somebody like him as part of the team is very, very valuable. So I hope that answers your question. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I won't tell you that, that he doesn't have stuff to learn. I mean, we all have stuff to learn. That's just the way of it. When you're pushing the edge of any technology, if anybody comes on and tells you, hey, I know everything there is to know, run to the hills because they're full of crap. There's no matter how expert you are, there's always stuff that you don't know and that you need to figure out and you need to address. And as we build our systems and as we go forward, we're no different than anybody else. We've got to figure those things out. We've got to solve them. What we do is we go out and you find the best people in the world to solve them. I think that's what Blaze has actually done here is he's reached out just out of the gate. He's reached out to a few people he knows and said, hey, can you come on board and help me out with this thing? And so we have, and we are. And so I think the future is bright for us. If we can get the funding that we need and keep this ball rolling, I think the future is going to be really bright because we bring something that's different. And we bring something I think that's really needed in the marketplace. You probably didn't hear my bit, and I don't know if you guys want to comment on it at all. I brought it up a couple of times, but my view is that advertising in the traditional sense in the world today is totally broken. It's a disaster. I mean, it's ripe with fraud. It's all about data collection, purely about data collection, and most of these big vendors, they don't care what they got to do to collect that data. And the brilliance about blockchain and about the potential with what we're doing is that we offer a potential avenue for solving that problem. One of the interesting things to me, I found this out the other day, one of the interesting things to me is, obviously the largest segment that brands are after are the millennials. But what's really fascinating is the millennials own the largest block of ad blockers in the world. They don't want to listen to ads because they know ads are broken. But what happens if you create an environment where people are incentivized for watching the ads that they are truly interested in? And as they watch the ad and as they participate more fully in the process of viewing the ad, exploring more information about the ad, contacting a merchant, acquiring the product, they get a little bit more incentivized as they go along. suddenly it's a whole different world. I mean, it's a different way of doing advertising, because now it solves a problem for the brands, because now the brands are able to reach the people that are really truly interested in their products. It solves the problem for the people that are truly interested in those products, because they're not being inundated with the stuff that they're not interested in, and they're being incentivized for looking at the ads. So it's a way of fulfilling some of the promise of blockchain, if you will. And there's so many other things that we are able to, or have the potential to build into the concept that Blaze has in terms of blockchain, that to me it's pretty exciting. So I don't know. I mean, Kevin, I'd love to hear your opinion about the issue with advertising and how we might be able to address that with Bezop.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
The current situation is shocking. It's really shocking. All the companies they can see exactly what you're up to at all times. It's a total breach of privacy.
Right.
As you were saying there, so I completely agree with you, and I think Bezop will solve this problem. And as you were saying, the millenniums, they do block out as much advertising as possible on these major companies, because they know exactly what they're up to. I won't mention any names, but many companies are in big trouble with this at the moment. So no, this is it's really fantastic.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you just spend a few minutes online and do a little bit of research, some of the biggest name brands around the world are in serious trouble, because they've have made serious breaches of confidence and doing things that you look at it and you just scratch your head thinking, how could anybody do what these guys are doing? Well, then again, of course, look who's the president. So I'm sorry, I regress. But it's a mess, and it's something that's really got to be fixed. And I think that we may not fix it, but we have a stab at fixing it, and I think we need to take it. And I think that, married together with everything that Blaze has conceived of to date, I think we've got the potential of bringing something to the market that's desperately needed.
So, Deryck, can we quickly go over the roadmap for Bezop?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, so what we've been able to achieve right now is we've created a sample store, an MVP. That was on the 12th of December. So definitely at the moment we've launched the Bezop token, and on the 20th of January, like that's 30 days from now, we should have this on X. We are definitely gonna get in talks with BTC, Cryptomania, a lot of other exchanges, right? And possibly Binance. So basically, by June to July 2018, we should have the real DOM out. That's the full release, and not the beta version anymore, not the MVP. So we should have, by June, we should have a full version of the DOM released. And then over in August, December 2018, August, that's a month later from July. That's after June, July, August, we should have the merchant wallet released. Now the merchant wallet, let me explain the merchant wallet. Just 1 second, let me just quickly write through the merchant wallet.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure.
Okay, so the merchant wallet is basically a smart coin wallet. Now, unlike the normal wallets, how it works is, instead of issuing merchants a normal wallet where they can easily receive their money and run away, the merchant wallet is the opposite. When cash is sent into your merchant wallet, it goes in cold storage, and when you complete your task, you provide a proof that is called proof of delivery, and automatically it checks if actually you did complete it, and then it will release your cash to you. So that's the simplified version. But if you want to get in-depth details about how this works, you can check out the yellow paper or the white paper. It's very detailed how it works. So over in 2019, it's just all going to be focused on trying to move over from the Ethereum blockchain to our own network, the Bezop network. So it's going to be a very big split, and a lot of people are going to get very, very happy. Now we also have a messier upgrade. Now after you establish a network, I think it's very important to do a security review quickly after that. And then shortly we also have an Andromeda upgrade. So we are anticipating that by Q3 of 2019, we should have a lot more users than we have now, or than we will have in 2018. Because the network launched in Q1, so we should actually have a mandatory network upgrade where we expand our network and try to make Bezop bigger.
Hello, can you hear me?
Michael, we can hear you.
Yes, okay, right. I have a question. Deryck, you said if you get the funding, everything's going to be all right. But what if you don't get the funding? What if there are not enough people? What happens to us who funded you?
Okay, so Michael, how it works is actually on the Bezop white paper on page 14. I think on page 14 you have a clause that it's basically a calibration. The minimum funds that is required for Bezop to float is $421,000. That's the minimum funds that is required to start up Bezop. Now we have some other things in place. Now, if the crowd sale goes, I really believe we can sell this out because we've been making a lot of contacts with a lot of people who are very powerful people that can help us sell this out. So I really have faith that we can sell this out. But in the case that doesn't happen, we can decide to maybe extend the ICO a little longer, maybe a few days, maybe a week. Otherwise, we can shut down the ICO and refund everyone, right? So we have a threshold, we have the minimum amount of money we can raise. And if we don't raise, everyone gets refunded. It's not a thing of having people's money, right? So if we don't get the money,
Blaze, if I could say something to Michael as well. Michael, yeah. The thing that I really appreciate about this is that, I've built, I didn't go through this process. I started out basically out of my own pocket, and then I brought partners in and they came out of their pocket, and we, built it up, and we built it fairly quickly. And we were pretty lucky. And we built it during a time period where money wasn't fast and free in terms of, because it was back in around, started in 2007 and went through 2012. So it was during a time period where in the US, I'm from the US, where the US, we had a serious financial crisis. Of course, it reached around the world pretty much as well. But the thing is that, in building a company, in most cases, you've got no promise. And the principals have no promise. They have a belief and a faith, and they work their butts off. They work around the clock to try to make that belief and faith come true. And most companies, you look at any company, that's the truth of it. In this case, what is so fabulous about this approach is that as Blaze said, it's in the contract that if we don't reach the amount that we need to do the things that we need to do, the money reverts back to the investors. So hopefully that answers your question, and that helps. Now, once we hit that number, then it's not unlike any other company. We've got to take it from that number, and we've got to grow and build, and we grow and build through the user base that we've established. We grow and build through the marketing systems that we deploy, and the ways that we choose to communicate with the market to be able to grow our company, and other investors that we ultimately end up bringing in because we achieve certain milestones. But the bottom line for any company, for the most part, is that you've got a faith and belief, and you got to work your butt off, and that's it. I mean, there's no secret formula, there's no magic. It's just to work your ass off, and if you want to succeed, that's what you got to do. So here you have an opportunity to participate and have the comfort and security of knowing that if we don't hit that minimum number, if we don't perform to that level, then you get your money back.
Okay, thanks for the answer. May I ask how much you have already? Or is that secret?
It's no secret. So right now we are throttling down on advertising, but at least we are able to maybe come up with, because we are raising funds in both BTC and Ethereum. So we've been able to come up with roughly 60,000. Okay, but that's with people still being a bit skeptical about the whole stuff, if it's a scam or all this kind of stuff, right? So I believe when this actually takes off, it will be a very easy sellout. It will be because the idea is great. The people on it, Deryck, Keith, Bruce, Kevin, Simon. Simon is not here with us, by the way, because I think he's on holiday. He's been a bit busy this holiday, but definitely we can still get him on sometime. We can do a live call again and get him on. So that's basically it. So we have
one other thing I would touch on, Blaze, is look at the time period where we're doing this. It's during a major holiday around the world. Now most companies do one of two things. Because when they get to the end of their year, they have to make some decisions about what they do with their cash and what they do with whatever money. Because they do one of two things. They either make a decision that they're going to roll certain things over to the next calendar year, or they're going to keep it back in the current calendar year. And they make certain decisions about, okay, am I going to take this, because they don't want to pay taxes, so they want to take the excess capital that they've got, and they want to invest it in things so that they can have the advantage of those investments and be able to use it when they file their tax returns. And so a lot of those decisions happen in a calendar year, going from December to January. So what I would expect is a very slow start through the holiday period, and then as we come out of the holidays, that we're going to get a lot of attention and we're going to get a serious ramp. And to Blaze's point, one of the other issues, and I would be right up front, one of the other issues that we had is that, as I said very early on, and I don't think you were on the call at that point, but, Blaze was the originator of the idea of this, okay? And what we failed to do was to get communicated into the marketplace effectively and well enough that it wasn't just Blaze, that there were some serious players that were involved and engaged in this thing, and that it was bigger than just one person. And so there were a number of people that came into this. They went, for example, and they checked the filing in London. They saw, well, it's just Blaze's name, so it must only be Blaze. And it was, the reason for that was because Blaze back in September filed it, and I didn't make the decision to come on board with Blaze, until November, Blaze?
Of course. That was early November, yeah.
Yeah, so, the thing is we made that mistake. I mean, we should have been more careful in terms of communicating effectively to the marketplace that this is a company. It's a legitimate company. It's got very serious players that are involved and engaged in it. Again, if you look at, as you'll listen to the playback of this, if you listen to Kevin's background, if you listen to my background, if you listen to Keith's background, if you look at Blaze is a very credible, very successful, committed computer scientist. And if you look at just those pieces alone, you've got a very effective core team to get this thing off the ground. So hopefully that helps to answer your question.
Yeah, thanks.
Any other questions, guys? I mean, you've got a captive audience here. I mean, we're all yours. I mean, we're not going to drop off until you got every question you got answered.
Well, actually, I at the moment don't have that many questions.
All right.
As I said, I was hoping that I'm not the only one in this chat.
Well, to be honest with you, Diego, we had 12 people sign up for this. Now, granted, that that was another problem. We realized that there was an issue going on in terms of who was all involved and who was behind this. So we made a decision just literally 2 days ago. We need to put this together. We need to get it out immediately so people can see it. So part of the plan behind this is to get the recording of this and get it out into the marketplace, so people can see it and they can witness it and listen to it, and then make some serious decisions from that. And I think when they hear who we are, what we're doing, they're going to take us a lot more seriously, and you're going to see a big change in what happens from a standpoint of the ICO. So, with that, Blaze, unless they've got some more questions, I think we should probably wrap it at this point. And the other thing I'll tell you guys, don't hesitate. I mean, make sure you're part of Telegram. Do not hesitate to ask your questions, no matter how hard they are. We will answer them. We'll answer them honestly. We'll be right up front with you. You can get us through the Facebook group. You can get us through Skype. However you need to reach us, we're making ourselves available. So take advantage of it. And if you need to, for example, Diego, if at some point you want to talk to Bruce, I can make the arrangements. And this is for anybody that ultimately listens to this broadcast. I say the same thing to everybody that listens. If you got a question, ask it through Telegram, ask it through social media. Call us up, reach out to us. We'll answer your questions. And hopefully you'll see that this is a serious endeavor and it's worth getting behind. I think with that, we should probably go ahead and wrap the meeting and get this out in the marketplace. Does anybody with that, does anybody want to make any closing comments? Kevin, Blaze, Keith?
Yeah, no, I think it's important what you were saying there because, Deryck, because ourselves just coming out on camera and speaking openly, everyone involved behind this, it's important just to show your face, show who you are, and to show how serious you are behind this. Many companies don't even go that far, and that says a lot about those companies. They don't tend to go any further. So just the fact that we actually get out, you can see who the promoters are behind this, is a very important point.
Boy, I agree with that.
So a lot of people investing in companies actually tend to ask for who are the people behind the whole operation.
Yep.
You don't see them. So when you can see who's behind the whole thing and talk to them, it means an awful lot. So here we are.
I agree with that. Blaze, any final comments?
Hello.
Blaze, any final comments? I think we lost the connection to Blaze. Keith, are you still with us?
I can say it.
Oh, okay. Blaze? No? Okay. Keith, any final comments?
I'm here, my friend. Yeah, no, I'm obviously I'm very intrigued by this process and excited about the opportunity. And so we're here, and behind me stands a number of people that can support this effort also, not just myself.
And boy, do I know that.
Yep.
Very good.
So, all right. Well, Keith, we really appreciate you taking the time to be here with us. I know what your schedule's like. For you to take the time out to join us. I don't know that the group will recognize right now. Maybe some point in the future they will. Of what that is a testament to your commitment to what we're doing here. But Blaze, Kevin, believe me, the fact that he's here and taking the time to be with is a real strong testament of his commitment to what we're trying to do here.
And also, too, sir, to be actual factual on that, it's really a commitment to you and how I believe in you.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Blaze, any final comments, or we're going to go ahead and wrap? I think we've lost Blaze. So
yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. It's a wrap. We appreciate your being with us and look forward to talking with you in the future. We'll do some more of these probably coming into January that will hopefully have a lot more notice to it, so we can get a lot more people on here. But for Diego, Michael, thank you so much. We appreciate your being here and look forward to talking to you guys in January 2018.
Thanks.
All right. Great holidays, guys. All right, we'll see you.
Happy holidays, folks. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Great time, guys.
Yep.